stocks tumble. So let's get right into it, guys, because I've been trying to tell you that this was going to happen, that inflation was going to continue to increase, but everybody was calling me a panicking. So let's go ahead and talk about it.
The much awaited CPI inflation number just dropped. We have it for you here. We can put the new element up on the screen. Inflation, according to CNBC, accelerated in May as rising energy costs contributed to pain for consumers, though underlying pressures were less intense. The Consumer Price Index, which, as CNBC is describing here, is a broad gauge of goods and services costs across the U.S. economy, rose at a seasonally adjusted 0.5% for the month, putting the annual inflation rate at 4.2%, according to the BLS report that was released this morning. Both numbers were in line with the Dow Jones Consensus. CNBC.
The thing is, even the Guardian had a pretty good article on it. So let's go to the Guardian. Let's see. Yeah. He said, Trump says, I love this. I love the inflation at rate rises to 4.2% amid Iran war. So, yeah. And then here's the thing. They had this in the fun little graph right here that pretty much shows you, inflation from pretty much all the way from Trump's first term all the way out to his second, and how we're at 4.2 right now and how this is complete bullshit. But yeah, we all kind of remember how Trump pretty much tamed inflation all the way through his term. And then, it reached a low point, and then, of course, through reckless spending on both sides, it took an uptick. And then, of course, it reached to that legendary 9% that we will always be grilling Biden on. And then, of course, it precipitously goes down. This was pretty much the recovery that the Dems like to brag about, and which is nice. I'm gonna be real with you. You can't really doubt it, but it was a bit too late. The damage was already done. Now, Trump comes in, of course, it does reach a good 2% around September. But as Trump comes in, though, for some reason, he kind of F's up all this progress. Like I said, in May 2025, we was at that 2%. We was hanging around that 2.4% at around last year. And then going into 2026, we kind of just F all that up. So this is where a lot of people are upset with Trump, because guess what? Wages aren't keeping up. Wages are at 3.6% while inflation is at 4.2. Do you understand the problem here? We put Trump in office to pretty much make wages outpace inflation, not the reverse. Like, who would want the reverse?
BC adds, inflation climbed above 4% for the first time in 3 years. Where does that put us? Right back in the pandemic era, Ryan, and CNBC says the increase met expectations amid concerns over how much the surge in energy prices would impact the economy. The level was the highest since April 2023 and above the 3.8% level from April.
I just can't put into words the depth of my hatred for Trump at this point. Like, he did this 150% on his own. Like, he inherited an economy that was improving.
Yeah, absolutely.
He inherited inflation that was coming down.
No, true. No, that's absolutely right. Even the Guardian article kind of admits that. Like, honestly, both when Trump came in, inflation at 1%. Like, let's be real. And then even when Biden came in, inflation was not pretty low. So I'm gonna be real with you. Both presidents kind of fucked up inflation, as we see. And you're right. And when Trump came in at the end of, let's go all the way over here to that 2024, 2025. Yeah, inflation was recovering. It was around that 3%, hovering down that 2%. And of course, like I said, Trump F's it all up. Now, like I said, he can always reverse course, but man, the damage already been done. Like, inflation on energy is already at 42%? That's not good. That is not good. But all right, let's go ahead and get right back to it.
Interest rates were coming down. Mortgage rates were coming down. Stock market doing well. Stock market's still doing well. It won't be great today, probably. And he just did this for no reason. For Netanyahu, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
future's sliding as we speak.
And so the Times write-up of this has some other, like, it's bad. The top line is bad. You go second, third line, fourth line. They're all bad. They finish their kind of blog post update. The main factor keeping a lid on prices, so it would be much worse. Consumers who have by now spent their tax refunds and have lately seen smaller increases in their paychecks. So just to explain what they mean by that, the main thing keeping prices down from where they would otherwise be is that you don't have any money. And because you don't have any...
That's a grimy ass point, but it's real. He's saying the only reason why prices ain't inflating because you're broke. Because they can't raise prices anymore or nobody's gonna buy a damn thing. Damn. So like they would invoke a little bit of greedflation, but they can't. Like, I'm sorry, but and I see why, because inflation is already outpacing wages. So their prices are already outpacing how much people are getting paid. So to raise their prices would be absolutely insane, and it would lead to less sales, which they're already getting eaten at the profit margin because of inflation. But hey, we'll see how this works out for them, though. But no, that is a very sad way of putting it. It's like, bro, they can't raise prices because we're too broke.
Money, you can't pay these high prices. So businesses can't charge the prices that they need or want to keep up with the pressures that they're under. So a bunch of them are just going to go under. Some of them won't be able to do their greedflation as much as they would like to otherwise. But this is what's known in economics as, quote, demand destruction. By saying one way to keep inflation down is to make sure that there are more poor people. And because if there's more poor people, there's fewer people in line at the shop, fewer people in line at the shop. Shopkeeper can't raise their prices as much as they want.
So when Trump took office, CPI was at 3%. So January 2025, 3%.
And heading down.
Heading down. So it goes down. It jumped a little bit after, quote, Liberation Day.
Now core inflation is at, what was it? 2.9%. Yeah, the core inflation accelerated 0.2% from month and at 2.9 from a year ago. So yeah, core inflation is now at that, bruh. This is so irritating, bruh. I can't believe it. All right, guys. So let's just get into the key points. I'm gonna read off the key points of this report. The consumer price index rose at a seasonal adjusted 0.5% for the month, putting the annual inflation rate at 4.2, both in line with expectations. So everybody kind of seen this coming. I was telling you guys this was coming. The core CPI accelerated 0.2% for the month and 2.9 from a year ago. While the annual rate was in line with the forecast, the monthly gain was below the 0.3 estimate, which is, I mean, that's fine. So the report indicated that much of the inflation surge came from a 3.9% jump in energy prices, putting the 12-month increase at 23.5% core commodity price actually posted at the 0.1% decline. AKA, yeah, our commodity costs are getting a bit expensive, AKA oil, gas, energy, liquid gas, all that, fertilizer, etc. Kind of eating us alive right now. So yes, this is what Iran is seeing, and they're going like, oh yeah, if we keep this up, inflation goes up for Americans, things get more unaffordable, the Republicans lose more and more power, and we get the warmongering party out of the White House, out of the House and the Senate. All we got to do is take advantage of their stubborn ass ways and their warmongering ways and just let them keep the American people in this war with rising inflation. And I mean, I guess the CNN pundits and the Fox News pundits have a really good point, but for different reasons. That yeah, Iran wants this war to continue. They do see the damage that it's doing, but for some reason, I don't know, we just keep it going. And here's the thing, like I said, the way the Trump administration is playing it as, oh, who cares about inflation? I'm not thinking about affordability for Americans. And I mean, like, that's just not the right message for midterms. Sure, MAGA may eat it up, but the independents and, those of us who aren't blind followers are kind of looking at y'all like y'all crazy right now.
But really only back up to 2.7 and 2.9%.
Hey.
January.
And shout out to my man Anonymous for sending a gifted membership, bro. Appreciate the support. Shout, you get a celebration for that. Raise a blade in your shout out to Molotov Juice Box. He's a person that actually received the gift. Appreciate the support.
February 2026, CPI is at 2.4%.
Like I said, shout out to Anonymous.
2.4%.
And what happened in February? What did Trump do in February?
Yeah, I know, right? We was at 2.4%, guys. Gas was at $2.98 a gallon, guys. Nationwide, by the way. And he just fucks it all up with this Iran war. We're just supposed to eat. Oh, no, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon that they don't have. We don't even got proof that they have it. If he had proof that Iran was going towards a nuclear weapon or that they have 80% enrichment or 90, okay, sure. Maybe we could sit here and take this on the chin. But with no proof of it whatsoever, actually the evidence going the opposite direction, this is a bit irritating.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He bombed Iran.
Yep. 2.4% in February 2026, January 2026. By March, it's climbing to 3.3. Right now, 4.2. As a reminder, 3% is where it was when President Trump took office in January of.
Oh, guys, we are $75 away from opening up the call-in line, guys. And like I said, if you want to double your support, you can go ahead and send it through a Venmo. So if you send 5, it's worth 10, 10 is worth 20, and so on. Yep, right now we are $75 away from opening up the call-in line. Appreciate the support, guys. And if you can't support, at least make sure you double tap that screen and like the video and smash that like button.
2025. This is, as CNBC noted, the highest since April of 2023, which is right as we were coming down from the pandemic high in June of 2022. CPI was at 9.1%. So climbing back up. But actually, if you go historically, without the pandemic, the CPI hasn't been at 4.2%, again, excluding the pandemic, for a very long time. I'm going back here to post-recession. It's looking like, middle of the recession, we got up to 5%, June 2008.
The other thing that the report makes clear is that Trump's other policy, which is to just flood money to AI, is also driving up prices all over the place in the obvious way, driving up your utility bills, your electric bills, but also for...
Yeah, because it does seem that, let's see here, energy prices, well, once again, responsible for the increase in the consumer price index, according to new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, accounting for 60% of overall monthly increase came from the increase in energy pricing. So yes, the fact that gas went up over $1 or so, damn near about to be around $2, that pretty much translated to higher prices across the board. I know, right?
Decades, what we've experienced as consumers is the cost of technology going down. TVs come out, I'm like, wow, that's cool. I can't afford it. I'll wait a year or two until the price of that comes way down. That's been what's going on. But because the AI build out is putting such pressure on chips, the price of the chips that underline all of these consumer products is going way up. And so now, according to this report, you're seeing that one thing we'd kind of come to say, all right, everything sucks. Like, and this is what you hear from like the Matty Glaciuses of the world, that yes, okay, a lot of things are bad, but you've got like a 55-inch TV and you didn't pay much for it. Isn't that cool? Even that is going away.
Yeah.
Because the price of the chips inside that 55-inch TV are driving up the price of that TV. Right. So even the little treats they give you to try to compensate for the collapse of everything else, those are going up.
Yeah, and let's put up on the screen the app.
Oh, no, for sure, bro. The price of computers went up because of how much AI is being used, and the price of computing parts have actually skyrocketed. So, yeah, laptops has went up in pricing, and so have desktops and all other technology. So it does suck on that end. I'll be real with you.
Apple dip yesterday. This is going to be B2. So Apple reveals, actually an Anthropic revealed Fable yesterday. Apple reveals its new Siri AI, also much awaited. And Apple shares were sliding, according to CNBC yesterday. It's sort of a dud, people felt like, but it was a reminder, Ryan, that some 30% of the S&P 500 is based on Mag 7 stocks. And we've had Rohit Chopra on to talk about this, former head of the CFPB. This is a really, really, really shaky economy. And to this question of the Trump administration's accelerationism on AI, I was at a pen and pad with Senator Rick Scott earlier this week. And he was expressing, if people were asking him about AI, he was wearing a pin on his lapel that said jobs. So he was getting asked questions by the other journalists in the room about if he's worried on that AI will cause a huge wipeout of jobs. He said he thinks that's all kind of alarmist, and that technology always creates jobs. It all comes out in the wash, that sort of thing. And so I then asked him, aren't we in a trap then? So if this is such a huge part of the market that's predicated on Dario Amode's basically promise to take out 50% of white collar jobs in the next several years, are we either in for mass layoffs or a stock market crash? And he said, quote unquote, there's no logic to the explosion in AI stocks. So I said, is Trump putting us further into the bubble? He said, quote, I think the difference is probably I wouldn't be talking about it. In my life, I can talk about jobs, right? I can talk about schools and talk about something I can measure. The fact that the market's trading at all-time highs, I'm going to say, man, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It did not make me feel any better whatsoever about the state of the economy. He goes, I ran a public company. Your stock is tied to what people think it's worth, not necessarily what it's worth. Now, as an investor, I can put a value on it until comfortable over a period of time. I can make money. I'm not buying something at 50 times earnings. How many things really keep growing at 50 times earnings? Not many. So SpaceX is going to be worth 1.8 trillion, right? I think the revenues are like $4 or $5 billion in revenues, and we could get into that. But
and who is this again?
Rick's.
I mean, that's a lot of these companies, a lot of these new tech companies, especially the big ones. Like, they're not really profiting. It's all like venture capitalism. That's like them. They're profiting off of investors. They're not profiting off of their product. It's mainly investors. That's a lot of these AI companies because the infrastructure has gotten too expensive. Like ChatGPT can barely pay for the running ChatGPT. Why? Because the infrastructure cost is way too much. Actually, I don't even think they're making any profit. And that's across the board with all of these AI platforms, all these AI language models, is that the infrastructure is too much to run. I mean, and apparently maybe we should have found a better way to, utilize this whole energy. Well, I'd say to upgrade our energy, upgrade our energy infrastructure, because it's not ready for AI. And it's been proven due to the fact that our infrastructure can't maintain it. And these AI companies are running into the red just to maintain infrastructure. And they're barely making anything off profit. They're talking about they're going to probably start pushing $200 like what a month for ChatGPT. And this is just something I read in a tech magazine, but they might just start pushing that. Why? Because it's getting too damn expensive just to run it with the $20 a month that most people are paying for ChatGPT. And everybody's paying the $200 a year or a month for whatever they're offering for that plan.
Rick Scott.
Senator Rick Scott, who's been bringing in some of these tech giants to talk to Republican senators and get them to ask questions back and forth with one another. So has been studying the issue, we'll say.
Yeah, it's like what the highest one is like they got $100 a month and $200 a month. But if you just want the decent one, just only pay $20. But yeah, they got plans where you can use where it's like $200 a month. And like I said, they're already pushing it out, and I'm pretty sure the $20 a month is probably going to disappear soon. And it's only going to be for the rich at a certain point, or people who just have businesses that will be able to use ChatGPT. Because unless you're running a business or you got it like that, you're not going to want to pay $200 a month for ChatGPT or any AI service.
And so while energy prices are surging, I wanted to highlight one thing. Put up B4 here. This is a new report out this morning from the Solar Energy Industries Association, which is the trade group that represents the solar industry. As you know, Biden put tons of money into the clean energy market, kickstarted that thing. Trump ripped it all out, saying no. He doesn't like clean energy. He likes the dirty stuff. That's American.
Now, here's the thing, though. Actually, Trump even switched up on the dirty stuff. He said he wanted coal. China gets most of their energy out of coal and all that good stuff. And it is a pretty good energy resource. The problem is, though, that Trump didn't go towards that. He just went all out on oil, pretty much just selling out to the oil execs, obviously. And I mean, here's the thing. I would diversify instead of just going all in on an energy source, because you never put your eggs in one basket. That's a foolish decision. He should have just tried to put more into, renewable energy, coal, and other energy sources, nuclear as well. He should have went across the board to make energy cheaper, because we get in it from multiple sources that we can take from and utilize. And because he wants to go all in on oil, now we're kind of in this shit position now that the straits closed. So yeah, it was a bad idea to completely go against the green energy initiative. Trust me, I get drill baby drill, but the problem is though, you're not just supposed to completely take out renewable energy. I mean, that could always be used upon to add more into the energy supply to lower our energy costs. I mean, come on now.
This future is in oil and gas, and that is going to be our critical advantage against these other countries like China that are run by dummies who have been fooled by this clean energy thing. So ripped away all of the subsidies. So it's a straight up just market question of how much what is utility, what is a residential home, what does a company want to do when it comes to building out energy. So
but all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and move past this one. All right, here, let's go to this Pierce Morgan interview. Not interview, but Pierce Morgan debate. I swear, people say they don't like him, but